Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another videos, another paid request. This time for Shawn. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. PayPal is usually the best bet. Links are down below in the info box. And he wanted me to do a commentary on Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So he didn't say which version, so I'm going to do the theatrical version because it's honestly the version I prefer. But let's get to it. I'm pause the beginning. 3, 2, 1. Pressing play. As we have the Terrico logo. Terrico seemed like it would not last too much longer. Films like a lot of bad deals, overspending on stuff, giving people, what was it, like planes or fighter jets or like these big ass parties. Then they give like Stallone or Schwarzenegger, like just these crazy overspending, too big for their own britches. And then films like Cutthroat Island didn't do well. And I want to say like they did Cliffhanger, but from what I understand, they didn't get a lot of the profit because they had the deal that to work with the other studios. I could be wrong on that, but I swear I remember hearing something like that. And here we have the first look at the movie of the total devastation, as we're in 2029 AD. Which, I mean, hell, that's only a few years from now. And we'll have Linda Hamilton's voiceover. Their lives will end in August 1997. And I'll be saying this a lot. You only needed 2 Terminator films, just like a lot of stuff. You only needed 2 Alien films. You only needed 2 Predator films. That endoskeleton still looks great. Obviously, by this time, James had a bigger budget to flourish these sequences. And Brad Fidel comes back to do another top-notch score. I do like the film. Just when this came out, everybody talked about it as the greatest film of all time. And I'm like, I really do enjoy the film. It's just there's other films I like more. But just because I like other films more doesn't mean there's anything bad with this film. Like, look at this. Look at the model work. Things being done in camera. Like, this could be, I don't know if it's like puppetry, however you want to call it. Stan Winston's work. And for it being done in camera, it makes it hold up better. Like the real model explosion, because CGI cannot really capture that fire. Of course, mentioned about the first film, what happened there. I don't know this actor's name, but I thought he had a good look for the older John Connor. I don't know why, for a little bit he looks like Daniel Bernhardt. But I mean, it made sense that they did this sequel because Arnold, after Terminator 1, his fame would just rise. Commando, Predator, Total Recall. And so, same with James Cameron. He would do Aliens, The Abyss. And so, yeah, get these guys together again, have a much bigger budget, and go for broke. And they made this film that was a landmark for special effects, humongous hit, one of the most beloved action films of all time. And Arnold was the top of the world at this point. I mean, you think of like his rivalry with Stallone. I'm sure Stallone's looking at this going, "Damn." He's looking at Total Recall. He's looking at Terminator 2. While on his end, he's doing films like Oscar, which I do like, but it did nothing. Stop a Moment Will Shoot. It's like, damn. I think Arnold's winning this battle. Yeah, rest in peace, Stan Winston did a wonderful job. Him and his team on the effects. Mark Goldblatt, one of the editors, he helped edit Rambo First Blood Part 2. He was the director of The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren and Dead Heat with Treat Williams. I don't know if this is true, but Mark Goldblatt had an interview where he said a film he had helped edit, Predator 2, that James Cameron had seen and said he liked. William Wisher, I think he's on the commentary as well, but I don't know what else William Wisher has done. Because a lot of people talk about Terminator 2, but they don't really talk about William Wisher, so. He's kind of like the forgotten guy among this whole thing. And yeah, this was a huge hit. It came out. It just. There's not a lot of films nowadays that come out and become this sort of phenomenon, so to speak, that you get the feeling is going to leave an impact on the culture or things of that nature. This is when James Cameron I actually liked and gave a shit about, because after this he would do True Lies. I'm not big on Titanic. I don't like Avatar. I don't give a crap about Avatar 2, because I didn't like the first one. Just not the movie for me. Aliens is my favorite of his. I would say Aliens. Do I like the Terminator or True Lies more? I mean, True Lies has bigger, more fun action sequences, but Terminator, I like the horror film feel. Maybe like Aliens, True Lies, Terminator, The Abyss. Because I do think The Abyss is a bit underrated. Here he goes to this biker bar. Of course, Terminator 3, they had to make it a joke where he goes to ladies' night and there's a guy dancing like he's dressed up as one of the village people. Talk to the hand. They had to turn that into a damn joke. One of the main things off about Terminator 3. I don't know these actors' names, and I don't have the information on me. But sure, at this time, Arnold, he's becoming such a big star, megastar now. He's like, I don't really want to play the bad guy anymore. And to be honest, he hasn't really. I guess the closest would be killing Gunther. I guess maybe Sabotage. His character's a very much gray area. Batman and Robin, I guess, is Mr. Freeze. Funny enough, all three are films that didn't really do that well, weren't really that well regarded, so go figure. Nice. Right through the window. Good stunt work from the peoples. Good stunt work. Boom. Yeah, it's a smart move, guy. Just get the fuck out of there. And you did definitely tell this is a different type of Terminator, because you look at the first film, it's much more violent, just no remorse, no pity, no fear, just punch a hole through the guy and take his clothes. Here we get to Bad to the Bone, George Thorogood, which It's been in a few films. Christine, the beginning of Christine, the John Carpenter film, for example. But probably had not been in the ether for a while until brought back with this movie. But I mean, Arnold had that right look and that right way of acting the character out. And like I say, yeah, this is a time when he wants to be the good guy. He wants to be. And I get it for this because it does make for an interesting change of pace. What if the Terminator was a good guy? What if the Terminator was a protector and had to fight against a more evil, more sophisticated, more developed, technologically superior villain? Thus, the great idea of the T-1000 liquid metal that could look like anybody, that could absorb or dodge the bullets, all that stuff. Would be much tougher to kill. Which it seemed like maybe at one point, well, not. It seems like maybe, no. I was gonna say I wonder if they thought maybe we could try to get the audience to think maybe Arnold will be the bad guy again. But no, I mean I think like right here the T-1000 kills his cop. I'm trying. What? Trying to remember if we do see that. It's been a while since I've seen this film, to be honest. A while. But plus the marketing pretty much said he's back for good. I mean, they literally told you that this. They'd showed you that this term is back for good. That's what got people pumped. Terminator is back. It's a much bigger movie. It's this sci-fi spectacle like Total Recall, which was a huge hit. And of course, we have Robert Patrick, which has definitely brought him to another level of popularity. Just before this, I mean, he had done bits here and there. He was in this film I reviewed, Future Hunters. Very weird movie where it's like Indiana Jones, and then it goes to a kung fu movie, and then it goes into a cannibal, like a jungle movie, all sorts of stuff. But I always liked Robert Patrick. Always liked him as an actor. Later, he'd be in Copland with Sylvester Stallone. He'd be in For Dusk Till Dawn 2. He'd be Agent Doggett on the X-Files TV show. I didn't always enjoy Robert Patrick. I played this video game he was a voice in, The Dig. Really enjoyed that. And here we have the stepmom in the bat, Jeanette Goldstein, Vasquez from Aliens. Which, I think for a while I didn't realize it was the same person because like her performance, her look in Aliens is so different compared to later on, but I'm like, oh shit, it's Vasquez from Aliens and Jeanette Goldstein. And this guy, I forget his name, but he played the kind of boyfriend in the original Candyman. The one that got killed at the end of the movie. Helen. He's been in a few films as well. I forget the actor's name. I'm bad with names. And we have Linda Hamilton getting extremely pumped up for this role. Which, I mean, we got the doctor here. Sadly, he's passed away. He was in the first Terminator. He made a brief cameo in Terminator 3. I try to remember if they had him as a cameo in Genesis. I could be wrong though. I try to remember when he passed away. And Linda Hamilton, I mean, she did a great job. Much more of it, much, very much of an intense performance. Sorry, no. But yeah, Robert Patrick, like I said, always enjoyed him, enjoyed his acting. Definitely a nice, lucky break that first victim he got was a police officer. I thought Robert Patrick, like the way it's written and the way it portrays is very well done in the fact of, the Terminator is an infiltrator. He's supposed to blend in, and like his face, the way he fits that cop uniform well. But I mean, he's supposed to be an infiltrator, and it's like as a Terminator, like he's having a smile, like trying to act again to perform his task of blending in, and going back, he's all about business. God, the early days of hacking, I'm sure people are like, what the fuck is this device he has? What the hell is all this? Like, what the hell is all this stuff? Say exactly. Of course, I didn't even talk about Edward Furlong here, which, I mean, even said introducing Edward Furlong, and sadly, I mean, this is such a big break, such a big role, such a, what you call an iconic film, that, I mean, for me, there are times I've said that the film's a bit overrated, only to the point of people just holding and you better say this is the best film of all time, or I'm like, I like the film. Isn't that enough? That I just say I like the film? Like, goddamn. Because we got the Guns N' Roses, You'll Be Mine, which they later tried to do that homage and was a Terminator Salvation. And this here is very reminiscent of the Michael Biehn scene in the first Terminator, where there's the video footage, and it's pretty much them telling what happens in the future, going crazy, just let loose. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm getting my phone to look up some of these details. Like William Wisher, he did some additional dialogue on the Terminator. He played Bill Tyler, a reporter, bit role in The Abyss. Uncredited rewrite on Die with a Vengeance. Uncredited co-writer on Eraser. Is that due to producer and uncredited co-writer on Live Free or Die Hard? Pretty much a long time friend with James Cameron. And then the cast. Edward Furlong, Again, sadly, like his career kind of didn't go anywhere. I mean, after this, let me see. There's a yeah, Pet Cemetery 2, which I don't mind, and then what? A Home of Our Own, Brain Scan, American History X got some notice. Porn star, The Legend of Ron Jeremy as himself. He was in Detroit Rock City, which I didn't mind. The Troll Wicked Prayer, which was awful. Just a bunch of stuff. The Night of the Demons remake 2009. Just sadly, he was in a bad state of affairs with a drug problem. That really hurt him a lot. The dad, Xander Berkeley, that was the stepdad. That's the one I said was in Candyman. He was also in Air Force One, Barbed Wire, Shanghai Noon. Yeah, Shanghai Noon, he was the cowboy wanting to kill Owen Wilson, and they have that kind of duel at the end of the film in the first Shanghai Noon. He was on the TV show The Walking Dead. This guy is Earl Bowen, the doctor. And yeah, he passed away 2023, which is too bad. See, after this, let's see after the first Terminator, what did he do? Let me see real quick. He was. I didn't know he was in Alien Nation. I forgot. Drunk Man in Diner, Miracle Mile. Okay. March for Death for Steven Seagal. Naked Gun 33 and a Third. The Dentist. The Odd Couple 2. Night Professor 2. No, okay, he wasn't in Genesis. He was in Terminator 3, last on-screen appearance. So he was Terminator 3. So there you go. Not that we're going to be introduced to Joe Morton as Miles Dyson. Probably easily his most famous role. Now later on, I loved him in the film Speed, which is a few years after this in '94. I always remember the bit where they find out the bridge is out. How come no one told me this? You're fired, everybody's fucking fired. Let's see. He was in What Lies Beneath. Had some good, some nice scenes with Harrison Ford in there. Paycheck, Ben Affleck film that I actually do enjoy. Batman v Superman, he plays Cyborg's dad. In those movies, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Always liked him as an actor. Like I said, this and Speed are the two films I remember him the most from. See, he was in, Executive Decision. He actually wasn't bad in that. Dragonfly with Kevin Costner. Forgot he was in that. But everyone remembers him most for this. Robert Patrick. I know after this he'd be in films like Fire in the Sky, the alien abduction movie. Before this he had a bit role in Die Hard 2. I think he has one line. You're sitting duck. And quickly gets killed by Bruce Willis. I mean, he had after this a cameo in Wayne's World as a T-1000. And a cameo in Last Action Hero. Yeah, Fire in the Sky, Double Dragon, he was the main villain. Zero Tolerance, that is one of the better PM Entertainment films. Love Zero Tolerance. If you want to see Robert Patrick kick a lot of ass, take a look at Zero Tolerance. Never saw Hong Kong 97, that's the Albert Pyun film. Rest in peace to him. He was in Striptease with Demi Moore, Copland, love Copland. The Faculty, he was the coach. I like From Dusk Till Dawn too. It has some iffy effects, but I do like a lot of the quirky point of view shots in there. I See You with Sylvester Stallone. I thought he did a good job in that movie. The Marine, he was the villain. The John Cena film. He was on that TV show Peacekeeper John Cena. Speaking of John Cena. He was in Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. Man, a lot of these I don't recognize. Yeah, it's pretty much like a lot of big supporting roles in a lot of these films. Like Rushed. Never even heard of that. Something called No Man of God. I mean, a lot of just. He was always like the fourth or the fifth build later on in a lot of the stuff. Let me see. Okay. Because I would like to think maybe the idea in the writing of the project is you don't know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Like I mean, like the idea, like if you saw no advertisement, like if you just went in, maybe you would think, okay, Robert Patrick will be the good guy, and of course the Terminator is the Terminator. There he is, right there. But again, the marketing, everything else, pretty much gave it away that it's that's Arnold was the good guy. Back in the day when we had arcades that you could go to. That fucking tattletale kid, you fucking snitch. This is the last time we see this kid. So maybe the T-1000 pushed him so hard here that it just broke his head open. Nah, just, there's no, that's the last time we ever see that kid. You never know, he goes off stream, maybe he hit his head and he's bleeding on the arcade floor and never see him again. A dozen roses for you. Which again, they tried to do that, and what was it, Genesis, or yeah, I think Genesis. It was like something else, much more goofy and silly. So that's what I mean is that, like, writing wise, maybe this was, okay, who's the villain, and then boom, he says get down, and the reveal, yep, he's the good guy. But yeah, I think that's kind of ruined because people already knew from the get go. Probably even the way that he handled people, that felt like more of a heroic, like, badass, not a kill machine Terminator, the way he took out the bikers. With the humor, getting the glasses, and all that stuff. And Robert Patrick had that stare and that look down. There's, throwing Arnold's stunt double out. And there's Arnold. Now that guy, I think that guy, I don't know if that's the writer or someone else, the guy taking pictures. That seems like a guy that's gets a little moment to shine. But God, this era of action films, I mean, to repeat yet again, I do think this is a good film. I do like the film. It's just there are other Arnold films I like more. And I think the other thing is that back to the day, I would say that, and then people would get a bug up their ass, so they would maybe resent the film, although that's not the film's fault. But I'm like, no, Predator is my favorite Arnold film. I like The Running Man more. I like the first Terminator more because I like the more horror feel. I like End of Days more. That's not saying anything bad about Terminator 2. It's just there are other films I like more. But I mean, I'll take this film without question over so many of the shit of today. Even films I like, I would still take Terminator 2. I liked Extraction 2. I liked Super Mario Bros. The movie. I liked Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I know some people get mad about that. I thought it was harmless. But Terminator 2 is easily better than all those combined. So, but this era of, rightfully so, people talk about the action films of the 80s. But the action films of the 90s were a glorious time. I mean, you look at Total Recall, this movie, Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, Hard Target, Broken Arrow, Speed. Later on, the more spectacle movies, Independence Day, Twister. Like, to get that shot, you had to have like a real semi-truck go off, and you have not Edward Furlong, but a double there on a bike watching this all, and seeing this fucking semi-truck go after you. At Brad Fidel's store, he did a wonderful job because he didn't just copy and paste the original film store. He bumped it up, and this is easily one of my favorite pieces of music from Brad Fidel. I remember Terrical, because this happened a lot. Companies, if they release the same company, if they release another film, at times they use music from a previous film they released for the trailer. So, for example, 1992, you had Universal Soldier, and you watch the trailer, it has music from Terminator 2, including this. Both the teaser, I think the trailer as well, both of them, but yeah, they have music from Terminator 2. I love the shotgun. I'm not an expert, but the way it's able to cock it like that has to be extremely hard to do, and to do it one-handed, and to do it when you're supposed to be riding on a motorcycle. This is a really good stunt here. Boom. If you're wondering, I am watching on the Skynet edition of Terminator 2, Skynet edition. I mean, I didn't notice that in that shot, but I know apparently they had re-released the film and they had tried to do some alterations that, like, to try to put Arnold's face during that jump and such, and that was so funky they took people out of the movie. Like, this crazy bit. You have to make a rid to get the semi-truck to go up and smash in this thing here. Definitely a stellar sequence. Guys, kind of like I'll see you later. and one of the sequences to showcase the effects and what this thing is. Still looks really cool. I mean, that's the thing. It still looks really cool. And like Robert Patrick had that look, that walk down pat. And you know what? Edward Furlong did a good job. It's just sad that whatever the reason may be, he fell into the drug circuit. You know, he got addicted to drugs and fell out. Well, if you see him now, I mean, I hope he's doing better. I hope he's doing well, but he looks haggard. He looks like he's lived a lot more life than his age dictates. And again, that's the sad thing. But yeah, I think what he thinks about it. I mean, think if you're Edward Furlong's shoes. If you're in his shoes, you get to star. You get to be a major part of what became one of the most seminal action films for a lot of people. When they think of action films, they think of, or sequels, they think of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And you look at how some people like Arnold Schwarzenegger did the Terminator, you see how his career flourished. Leonardo DiCaprio did Titanic, you see his career flourish. But then you have people like Edward Furlong that, again, it's weird that the next project he got was Pet Sematary 2. I mean, I don't mind the film, but it's just, they figure, hey, it's another sequel to a film that was a hit. Okay. But yeah, Pet Sematary 2 didn't seem like a big project that people were dying to see. But I was saying, imagine his point of view where he's like, man, I used to be the opportunities that are lost, the opportunities that were not fulfilled. Which is a damn shame. But I mean, sadly, that's what happens a lot. I mean, even Linda Hamilton, you think from the Terminator to here, the big thing she did was maybe, around the time of Terminator, she was in Children of the Corn. And what, the Beauty and the Beast TV show? I can't remember the other stuff. And this is kind of the interesting thing about the film is that like when you're first watching this, you think, okay, yeah, that's the stepmom, Jeanette Goldstein. And then when she does this thing, you hear this sound, you're like, what the fuck? And then that reveal, like, oh shit. So right, you hear this sound, and you're like, what the hell is that about? This is a smart idea. What's the name of the dog? And then this person, of course, doesn't know the real name of the dog. As he puts it here, the foster parents are dead. And this is a cool effect. I like that detail of the milk dripping from about the middle of the blade. And that does look really cool. And I mean, this is rated R for moments like that. But I think one of the things that, well, again, I think the film does it well. This was the start of toning down the Terminator. Now, again, in this film, it does well where it becomes the bond between a machine and a kid. And just one of those things where, okay, you think of the Terminator and just wiping everybody out and everything in between, and then you look at this, and understandably, because what Edward Furlong says, okay, he's shooting kneecaps, and he's stealing sunglasses from people, and he's doing all that type of stuff. I guess for me, like if I want Arnold as a hero, I find Dutch Schaefer more interesting. Uh, the Running Man, other stuff more interesting. And the Terminator, I think what it is for me, I wasn't as intrigued with the Terminator being a good guy compared to other people. It works for the film. It works so that it's not the same movie as the first one. If you're going to do a sequel, it's an interesting take to have. But again, Arnold, I find as a Terminator more interesting as a villain than a hero as a Terminator. Now, it would be cool if it was whatever the human that they based the look of Terminator on. That would have been interesting maybe to see, because that look had to come from somewhere that they mass produced. And not the fucking deleted scene in Candyman and Terminator 3. This is Sergeant Candy. You have to change the voice. That stupid deleted scene. Which, can you imagine if that scene was in fucking Terminator 3? But I think Edward Furlong does a good job here, showcasing the emotions. You told me to. Because you told me to. Now, I did not see the Arnold Schwarzenegger Netflix documentary, which people say is good. I wish though that there was a documentary that he talked about every film he was a part of. Good, bad, indifferent, however he wants to say about it. I wish, because every movie has a story. Now, granted, you have your point of view, but everyone has a story. And this is where he's about to kill the guys. Like, I'm a Terminator. Ooh, there you go. It's funny, he was about to. He didn't kill any of the bikers, but he's ready to kill this guy. Of course, I'm a Terminator. I do find it sincerely funny, this bit of dialogue. You can't go around killing people. Why? Why? But at the same time, while I do enjoy it, like it's still that step towards toning down the Terminator. It's still that first step of doing that, because like you have certain bits where I promise we're not killing anyone. Swear, and it's like what? Like you want me to swear? Like why would the Terminator think that? The Terminator wouldn't give a shit if he swore or not. Or in the I think it's the extended cut where he's trying to smile. He's being taught to smile. It's like, yeah, we'll work on that. It's just like, it's not as cringy as much later on, taught to the hot and all this shit. This is a so. Kudos to Linda Hamilton. Kudos to Lance Henriksen, who's died in this movie. He was in the first one. Kudos to Linda Hamilton for not batting an eye when some guy licks your face. Because, I mean, of course, it's the show teaches just how much of a fucking weirdo he is. But yeah, kudos to doing that. And I mean, definitely shows a development of the character where you see her in the first Terminator and she is just a waitress having fun, and at the very end, she's got to save herself. And then by this one, she's pumped up. She's much more obsessive, understandably so, about her role later on trying to go kill Miles Dyson. I mean, that's why it got considered to be one of the great female characters in sci-fi action history. Now, I forget this guy's name. We'll see him a bit, but I know they're twins. And they were showcased before in Gremlins 2, the new batch. They were the two guys helping Christopher Lee and his work with the experiments. So I guess maybe someone saw Gremlins 2. Because wasn't that 19. When was Gremlins 2 now I think about it? Why do you think that was. Wasn't that 1990 or something? God, I'm trying to remember now. Bad, apparently bad with years, too. Anyway, around this time, Gremlins 2 had come out, and, they were twins. So it was like, hey, there's twins. Let's get those guys here. This is a cool shot coming out of the floor. And it's crazy, like, the CGI or the effects in this look better than that new Flash movie. Like, I looked at this here, and I was like, wow, that still looks really fucking good. But yeah, I looked at the Flash, and that came out 2023, and it looks fucking awful. It looks fucking laughable and atrocious. And why did that film in 1991 still looks better than this? I mean, this, yeah. Of course, it's the same movie. Of course, it looks better than this. Why does this film in 1991 look better than a film in 2023? Yeah. There you go. And it makes sense, yeah. If you don't have that scene, hire twins. That way, you save on effects budget. Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. But I think also that's why, like, they added that scene. Like, you may wonder, why did they add this scene with this guy licking her face? I think that was a smart decision because she has to beat the shit out of this guy to get the keys. But maybe if it was an innocent orderly, you'd be like, oh man, that's a bit rough. But knowing that he's such a creep, you actually don't feel bad when he, breaks his fucking nose and beats the shit out of him here. Because if he licked her face, what else has she done or try? What else has he done or tried to do? So like, good. Maybe his name is Buck and he likes to fuck. I don't know. And sadly, after this, Linda Hamilton didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, I'm trying to think after this. Like, the only movies I could think of she did was Dante's Peak with Pierce Brosnan, The Shadow Conspiracy with Charlie Sheen and Donald Sutherland, which is a pretty bad movie. Sadly, the last film that George Cosmato's name is on, but apparently he was really sick when it was being made, so who knows how much of it he actually did. And those are nice, simple tricks. Instead of spending a special effect, have the camera pan, go back, and it's Robert Patrick now in the same spot. So pretty much you walk, camera pans, you leave, you come in, camera comes back. There you go. Ooh, there goes your wrist. And there goes that knee again. And right there, the showcase Poison on the bottom right to really sell the audience. I mean, you could gather already, but, I guess to really. Say right here, swear. What? I wouldn't say this movie started to be more kid friendly because there's still violent parts, like the guy that got the blade in the eye, corner of the eye. But I just meant you do. It's still a bit taming down compared with the first Terminator. There you go. Kneecap your ass. He'll live. But at the same time, I'm laughing about it, so it worked well in this instance. Not so much in Terminator 3. Yeah, to her, I mean, if I don't do this, everybody. I mean, well, yeah, I mean, to her, everyone's going to die anyway, so I'm here to save my son. Y'all going to be dead anyway, so it don't matter. And that was why, again, the second film, this is all you needed because, okay, what's the point of telling the story? If it's just to save John Connor instead of save Sarah Connor, that doesn't seem enough. Doesn't seem like enough reward, enough stakes, enough anything involved. But if you go, well, we may, in a way, change the future. Fate is what we make. And then the sequels completely negated that idea. Like the whole point of this film is fate is what you make. You could change fate. Maybe we could stop Judgment Day. And this shit pretty much abandoned that. Terminator 3, it was not actually Terminator 2 was wrong. Listen to us. Fate is not what you make. It's inevitable. What the fuck kind of decision is that? Then Terminator Salvations to show a bit of the future. Genesis, I don't know what the fuck that was about. It was... we wipe out the timeline, create a new timeline, and maybe we'll stop Judgment Day. Or... after the credits, or in the middle of the credits, it's changed up. Dark Fate is... would you kill John Connor and it'll just be another fucking leader? And see, that's what I mean. You buy why Sarah Connor feels this way. The last time she saw this figure was years and years ago and freaked the fuck out of her mind. It makes perfect sense. Like, what would you do? I mean, if all you know is the first Terminator, you'd be like, yeah, I need to get the fuck out of here. And this is a nice bit of scene here. He just takes these guys out, showing his strength. Get the fuck over there. What everybody says is a Terminator has that strength. Get out of my way. Equal rights, equal fights. Equal rights, equal fights. And just like Michael Biehn would say, coming up here, Kyle Reese would say, we have, go with me if you want to live. She's like, what? And there we go. I love this bit here with the blade and the way it's just, yeah, there you go. The blade becomes a crowbar type of thing, and then the head split. Such a lot of cool creative ideas with that. Again, it just still looks really cool. It's like, you know, they did have some practical effects mixed in with the CG, so it makes the whole scene work better. Right, I mean, the gun's not going to do anything. I guess maybe to slow it down a little bit, but yeah, it's not going to do much of anything. But I guess you can either do nothing or do something. I guess, to be honest, if I had a gun, I would fucking shoot it too. So. And I mean, this does technically have special features, but at the same time, it's mostly like commentaries and maybe a few deleted scenes, trailers. The fact this never had like a full blown feature length documentary is insane to me. It's insane to me. Like nowadays, like, okay, we got Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Cameron, the effects guys, remembering Stan Winston, like all these. That just still dumbfounds me that you never had like a full, like Aliens. Thankfully, did get a nice documentary on that set. The Abyss, the documentary of that is fascinating. but never on. Not even really the first Terminator. I mean, let alone Terminator 2. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff. I mean, James Cameron could have, I'm sure, made it happen if he wanted to. Same with, The Abyss and True Lies are not on Blu-ray. There's no 4K of Aliens. But yeah, like True Lies and The Abyss not being on Blu-ray is ridiculous, and the fact that it's not a full-blown documentary or a film like this is ridiculous. It's just how it is, though. Get the fuck off my car. There you go. Get off my car. You bastard. And the deleted scenes, I mean, idea why they were deleted. It's nothing that I really felt need to be in the movie. I mean, compared to Aliens, like I actually prefer the special edition of Aliens. I prefer the longer cut. I like the bit where we find out Ripley's daughter, where Ripley and Hitch tell their first names to each other. The sentry gun scene. I actually like to see a cut of the film. While I don't mind the Hadley's Hope scene, like if you kept all the other deleted stuff in there but take out the Hadley's Hope scene, I would actually be interested in seeing that cut. I mean, you take all of the you keep all the scenes added back in, but you just take out that one Hadley's Hope scene. And you have that disconnection where you think it's a loving HUD, but you're just making sure that he's not wounded. And it's supposed to be the star of the Terminator trying to comprehend what the hell this stuff is. Why are your eyes leaking? Well, he doesn't say that, but he might have. In a different movie. Like, what's wrong with your eyes? It's like, none of your fucking business. But yeah, I do like this bit. That's a nice bike. Yeah, purpose like, you know what happened to that guy. But yeah, the deleted stuff of Terminator 2. This never. I mean, you had a little bit more with Miles Dyson. You have the dream scene with Michael Biehn, which was cool to see Michael Biehn back as Kyle Reese, but I could see why it was taken out because it doesn't really fit in the movie. It doesn't really fit in the film. I mean, like I say, it's nice to have Michael Biehn back as Kyle Reese, but at the same time, like, I could see what was cut out. Like, I think there's also another bit here that I think in the extended cut, like there's an opportunity that she could destroy. And she's like, you don't know how hard it is to kill these things, and Edward Furlong has to talk her down. I can understand why maybe you had that scene in the first place because of her history with But at the same time, it's like if she's a survivor, if she's being smart about it, she knows that this is our best chance to survive is this guy. If he's programmed to protect this kid, then the more that, I need to keep this going, have this thing here. And that's a good transition from night to day, which makes sense. I mean, the Terminator, there'd be no reason for it to sleep anyway. So again, that's a nice transition. Hell of a watchdog. Driving this busted ass looking station wagon. Looks like the station wagon from Harry and the Hendersons that they had Harry the Bigfoot on top. I'll keep it going. I'll be right back. I'm just going to get some stuff to drink. I decided to just edit that so they're not just watching a blank screen. But to be honest, it took so long I forgot where we were at. So I apologize. So on the theatrical cut, I'm 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 44 seconds. I did 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 44 seconds. So 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Okay, so he's talking about Miles Dyson. I think I just missed teaching him how to curse, or how to no problemo, not curse, but no problemo, and hasta la vista, baby. Whereas that became a big catchphrase at the time. Now no one really thinks about that catchphrase. So now we're learning about how Skynet was born, which, fuck, I mean, the way it's going, this will be a real thing. Because you have the AI, we don't have it write scripts, we don't have it make images on its own. So that look of Arnold's like, why do you want to know? But again, sorry about that edit, but again, it's the way of the real world. You have to get other stuff done. Again, I think the only thing I missed was that teach him no problemo and hasta la vista, baby. Maybe that's one of the little issues I have with the film. It is a fairly long movie, but I mean, so is Aliens, but I don't feel the length of Aliens. Here, sometimes a little bit, like in this section, I feel a little bit of the running time. Not bad, it's not awful, just I feel a little bit, but mainly this section here. I mean, this is sort of the, I don't know, the bonding section, so to speak, between Edward Furlong and the Terminator. John Connor and the Terminator. Uncle Bob. This is the start of those silly names for the Terminator, because they would, what was the name they gave him? And fucking There was the, what's it, Papa or something in Genesis, and then the name he was given in Dark Fate. So he picks up this kid, wondering what the fuck is this. Surprised the kid didn't cry or anything here. He just pretty calm. I don't know why for the longest time, for some reason I kept remembering that the Terminator dropped the kid. Like he looked at it and just dropped it. I mean, I don't know why I remember that. I might, no, unless they count in every fucking version that come out afterward. But what's I mean? Or maybe it's the Mandela effect. I could have sworn when he picked it up he dropped the kid, but then I'm thinking, well, how would that scene have played out? This guy would be fine with this big guy, Uncle Bob, dropping his kid on the ground, and I'm like, nah, that wouldn't really be the case. I think I was just getting mixed up with another movie. I think it was Kindergarten Cop. I think that's why. Because he picked up the kid, he's like, oh, you eat all these lunches, stop it. And then he drops the kid. So I think that's why, is that I got the two confused, mixed with each other. He drops the kid in Kindergarten Cop, not this one. And this is where he smiles. Why the Terminator would smile, though? I'm like... I did just say because he's learning human, but would he have learned the smile that he got a minigun? But you know, I don't know if that's breaking the character, like little motif or something. I don't know. Yeah, I mean the idea that your dad hasn't even been born yet is definitely a weird situation. Of course, that bit of development on the Terminator that will be showcased at the end, where he says, "I now know why you cry." Well, it makes sense because it's metal that he's hitting. Arnold knew how to do that deadpan well, I gotta say. I mean, here's the thing about Arnold. I mentioned this before. I'm a big Sylvester Stallone fan. If you were to ask me my favorite action star actor, I would say Sylvester Stallone. I absolutely adore the first four Rambo films, a lot of the Rocky films. I love Cobra, Over the Top, Cliffhanger, Demolition Man. I like Nighthawks, I like Daylight, and so forth. Lock Up, Copland. I do like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like a lot of his movies, but my favorite was Stallone and then Van Damme. were my two favorite action guys. And action being my favorite genre. Now, with that said, you have to give it to Arnold. He was the smarter businessman. Meaning, he knew what he was. He knew that he was a product. He knew that... I think he knew his audience more than Stallone. Because Arnold, you look at his career, he didn't really get his hands into the writing of the films. Maybe he would tell ideas, but he would get people like James Cameron, John McTiernan, who did Predator, would go on to do Die Hard, Paul Verhoeven, comedy Ivan Reitman, Walter Hill. Like, he would get guys that knew what they were doing and let them, showcase their assets. And for a while, Arnold was easily more successful than Stallone. Like, think of the 80s. And, of course, this scene here is definitely one of the scenes people remember the most. Understandably so, because it's such a horrific scene. Reminiscent of the playground burning at the beginning of the film. Like, in the opening credits. And then we see what caused that. And I think this was nice because, first off, you got Linda Hamilton, the way she looked in the first movie. I guess sort of symbolizing, like, if she never knew about this, like, she was still at her waitress job and had a kid and blah, 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 or something. But it is horrible. Like, it's important because you know what drives Sarah Connor to go kill Miles Dyson. And you're thinking, well, fuck, if she's having nightmares like this horrific, where she's visualizing all these people dying in such a terrible way, nice bottle work there. Nowadays it'd be all CGI, but especially this bit here with her being blasted. I mean, if he ever dreams like that, I think she wrote his fate is what you make. So it's like, let me try to stop Judgment Day. So let me try to kill Miles Dyson. No fate but what we make. I guess it's that decision, like, what would you do? If you think maybe you could stop Judgment Day, what would you do? It's like, okay, John Connor needs to live and be protected, but I want to try to stop. But I was saying with the Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, you look at his career, like, okay, look at Stallone's career in the 80s. The only films successful were First Blood, Rambo 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky and Rambo. And even Rambo 3 maybe did well overseas, but it underperformed in the US, based on considering its budget. It underperformed in the US. So it was looked at as a box office disappointment, looked at as a flop. I mean, maybe it made money with video and, again, overseas stuff. I don't know, because I wasn't their accountant. But then you look at Arnold. Conan the Barbarian, successful. The Terminator, successful. Predator, successful. Twins, successful. Even on the cusp, 1990, you had Kindergarten Cop, you had Total Recall. I don't think The Running Man, Sally, was as successful, although I love the film to death, and I don't know why. The Running Man should have been a big hit. I have no idea why that wasn't. But same with Cobra, I think that deserved. Because that, like, made a bit of money, but again, was looked at as disappointing. But I think it still made money, but it's just when Rambo 2 came out in 85 and was one of the biggest hits worldwide, like 300 million worldwide, like 150 million in the US, and then Cobra comes out and it makes 49 million in the US. Well, you go from 150 million to 49 million. Yeah, that's looked at as a complete disappointment for Warner Brothers. Like they're expecting another $100 million start of a new franchise. Sadly, that was not the case, though. Sadly, it was not the case. I just, some people ask, like, what would you ask Stallone if you ever met him? I'm like, well, number one, I'm of the frame of mind, never meet your heroes, because they'll disappoint you. But also, I'm like, if I have to ask about one film, it would be Cobra. Who really directed the film? Kurt Russell has said that really George Cosmatos directed the film. The deleted scenes. Was the film much more violent, much more longer? Are those deleted scenes long gone? Are they in some Warner Brothers vault somewhere? Did you ever want to consider this a franchise? Did you have any ideas of doing more films? What plots they would have been? When the film came out and the film underperformed, what was going on through your mind? All that stuff. So, that and ICU. I would say I actually liked ICU. I think the film's actually a bit underrated. I know you're not a fan, but what happened with that film, all that jazz. I mean, this seems effective because Miles Dyson, he's not an awful person. He's not a mean, rude, crude guy. He's a family man. His son wants to protect him. He's protected his son. And he's confused as to, like, what? What are you talking about? Prevent what? And, murdering someone is not easy. Especially when he doesn't know what the hell you're doing and what your reason for it. Like, what's going on? But it's a nice, effective, emotional scene. Linda Hamilton does a good job showcasing the emotions of that whole bit. And then she does a good job. That's for me, it's sad that she didn't really get a whole lot to do and showcase later on. Now, let me look up. I think that's another reason why this film was a success. It wasn't just it had good action sequences and stellar special effects, but it had a pretty damn decent story as well, with good character work. A mix of all that stuff combined. A nice moment between mother and son. And then they made Dark Fate. And then they had him get shot in the face. They had him get his CG, get shot in his CGI face. I'm laughing because I have to, because I'm just like, this fucked. Uh, this fucking people, man. Like, they thought people would like that. They thought, hey, you know that film that's like a seminal film that most of the plot is protecting John Connor? What if in the first 5 minutes, we shot him in the fucking face with the shotgun and said, he didn't matter. You just did another Protector of the Future with a proof of purchase from your cereal. Send it in. Fucking hell. Terminator Dark Fate. Jesus. That, you know what? You know, people would ask me what's the worst, Genesis or Dark Fate. I would say Dark Fate. That opening alone. And that's a great reveal of the endoskeleton arm, and of course Dyson now recognizes what it is. Now listen to me very carefully. I mean, you would listen too if you saw that shit. And again, it's like, how do we hide it? Put a glove. Makes sense. Put a glove on it. So every day you find out you're responsible for 3 billion deaths. He took it pretty well. I remember, like, I mean, Terminator 2 was a big deal, and I enjoyed it then. I remember having some of the action figures. I remember having, like, these trading cards. There was, like, a magazine, Terminator 2 magazine, that you could flip through, and having that back in the day. But, so just looking at her career. So yeah, Ted the Assassination Game, which I remember it being okay. Children of the Corn, Terminator. So she does Black Moon Rising with Tom Lee Jones, which is a pretty so-so film. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I like Tom Lee Jones and Robert Vaughn, Linda Hamilton. It's got a good cast, but I think it was the wrong director. The director didn't really bring a lot of excitement, a lot of pizzazz to it. This is a guy that directed what, Warlords of the 21st Century, a studio second unit director for Empire Strikes Back. What the fuck that mean? King Kong Lives, which is a pretty laughable film. I'd have some fun with it, but it's pretty laughable. Mr. Destiny with James Belushi, which I always forget that that she was in that one. And then after this, like 1991, this comes out. 1994, she's in Silent Fall with Richard Dreyfuss. Boy with autism who's the only witness to the savage double murder of his parents. That's a good cast. John Lithgow, J.T. Walsh, but I don't know, the movie just seemed forgettable. And the film was a bid bomb. Cost $30 million, made $3 million. Then 95, she was in Separate Lives with James Belushi again. Mr. Destiny reunion. A thriller I've never even heard of before. She hired him to watch her. Well, it seems like a waste of money. So, from 91 to 97, again, Silent Fall, Separate Lives, and Dante's Peak. I did. You think of, like, you play, okay, you're in a successful film, you're one of the standouts of the movie, and you become one of those seminal female characters, and you're like, you're not going to fucking, not much of a capitalization on it. Dante's Peak, Shadow Conspiracy, and just not much of anything. Missing in America, The Kid and I, Holy Water, Bermuda Tentacles. A sci-fi channel film where Jamie Kennedy was in it as well. What the fuck, really? A cheap jet sci-fi channel film. Yeah. Of course, Terminator Dark Fate. Jesus Christ, man. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But yeah, I read yet the send up the stuff here. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, grenade launcher, get the fuck out of the way. That was definitely a look people remember too. There were a lot of action figures, him with all the grenade launcher, the grenades around his chest. Definitely think people remember. Ah, nice. Yeah, I mean, we had not had the T1000 for a little while. Pretty decent amount of section for that. Well, I mean, it makes sense because you have the... Then you have... Well, you know. I'm telling you stuff that you already know. But that's the thing that just... Like, you watch this film, you go, so wait a minute, none of this mattered? Meaning, destroying this facility, Miles Dyson giving his life, all this other stuff, it didn't matter? Because in Terminator 3, it was... no fate? Yes, there is. Sight. And then Dark Fate, well, actually, we're going to kill John Connor. And then, yes, there's still going to be a war, but it's going to be a little bit different here. And there's going to be a new protector, and she pops out because I am woman, hear me roar, and all this other shit. It's just so ridiculous bullshit. Ridiculous bullshit, man. Like, goddamn. No, the whole thing is just ridiculous to me. That's just, well, it's not just me, it's a lot of people. That's why those films bombed. Because now they wanted to recapture the feel, the excitement of Terminator 2, and they couldn't because they're just bad copies or bad wannabes. Really, they're just bad wannabe versions of them. And that seemed like another weird thing the Terminator would do. That he would go. I mean, like, why would the Terminator do that? Remote control. Like, why would he do that? Like, as if they don't know? Trust me. But just as the point is that he's learning more, so as he's learning more, he's acting a little bit more like human as it goes along. That's the point, so. And again, it made sense for the scene, but I'm like, oh my god, the Terminator has a minigun, and it's just to destroy a shitload of cars. Like, I get it. But it's like, I want to see the Terminator wipe out everybody with the fucking minigun, and he's the Terminator. But I mean, it makes sense. Like, you don't want the good turn to be wiping out a bunch of cops with a fucking minigun. And that's the thing. Anytime a minigun is used, it's always cool to see, fun to see. Of course, there's always that bit where it goes so fast that yeah, it would run out of ammo pretty quickly. So yeah, got a bunch of grenades. Fuck on my face. Leave. At least you did is some nicely done destruction, all done practical for real. Yeah, shoot the shit out of these cars, blow them up. Don't have any CGI enhancements. Makes it seem look good and stand the test of time. In other words, it doesn't look dated. Lo and behold, it doesn't look dated. Go figure. And Joe Morton, I mean, he's a tragic figure. Tragic figure because, like he said, he judges me for things I haven't even done. And this guy means well. Again, he's a family man. He's a good guy. And again, you feel sorry about it. And so yeah, apparently all this was for nothing. Again, taking these items, the Terminator giving his own life because of his CPU. It was all for nothing. And so many times they made sequels that do that. And hey, sometimes there are ones that I do enjoy. People would say, you know, Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Chalk it up to nostalgia because that was one of the first I saw and saw the most. But if people have that critique, I can understand that. But then a lot of sequels do that. Up here you go. Oof. That would be funny if Edward Furlong's like, Dyson, Dyson! What about your mom? I don't care. Like I said, you just feel so sorry for the Dyson character. And this is kind of a smart thing too, where she's shooting in the air because she doesn't want to hit anybody. She doesn't want to accidentally hit anybody. So she's shooting in the air. Nice bits there with all this, like, I'm guessing candy glass being shot around. Arnold will take care of that. Oh shit. Like, it would have been cool if, like, that building in Terminator 3 that had all those machines, like that big mechanized machine, like if Arnold had this grenade launcher stuff and just was going, blowing this thing up, blowing that thing up, that would have been really cool to see. Like, he's doing the right thing. He could be like, I should have dropped this shit and kill you for shooting me, motherfucker. But he doesn't. And he does that, like, if you try to shoot me, I'll drop it, you'll die. So that's why they didn't shoot him. But I'm leaving this up long enough for you guys to get out of here. And again, it's like the guy didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't deserve it. Like, he didn't know this was going to happen. And self-sacrifice. I know this footage was stolen and taken into a few direct-to-video films after this, where like you could buy stock footage, I guess. I forget what it was called. I think one was Militia with Dean Cain, I believe. And there might have been one or two others, but yeah, go figure. Yeah, there goes Miles Dyson. Yeah, this is where he's, told not to kill anyone, but he says his signature line. I'll be back. Which he would say that from time to time. He said, I'll be back. The Running Man. Well, I think he said in what, Commando, I'll be back, Bennett. He said in The Running Man. He said in, of course, in this. Last Action Hero. Don't think he said in Total Recall. I don't think he said in that. There you go. Kneecap all your asses. Was that got fucking sting and hurt regardless. Okay, if I see a guy take that many shots, I'm kind of leaving and not going to continue to shoot. Especially when I see metal on his face, like what the fuck is that? It's like, it's time to leave. It's time to get the hell out of Dodge. This is a cool stunt where the motorcycle goes out and gets the helicopter. Hits the helicopter. That's a really cool stunt. I don't know if this was a tear gas. Yeah. Thankfully, never experienced that. Never tear 2. Give me that fucking mask. Up, he's learning. There's the keys. Bean, bang, boom. And yeah, they just do not make movies like this anymore, man. I mean, this year you had, I think, like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I think that was 91. Of course, this was. I'm trying to think what else. Ninja Turtles 2 Secret Reviews. That was 91. That made over $80 million, so that was a hit. Like that's a really cool looking shot. Going out of the window, getting on the top of a helicopter. Like that's a real guy on a helicopter. And of course, this is a nod to the original where Arnold told the guy to get out of the semi. Get out. Then Arnold, when he was all bloodied up, told the guy to get out on this semi truck, and now here. And like just that one shot, like they have the helicopter and the wide shot, you see the building on fire. Like it's all connected. Like nowadays, it'd be like CGI fire in the background, the building, all these CGI smoke, flames. And you could tell, and it takes you out of the movie because you can see that it's fake and it's phony. Because the smoke and the fire don't look right, they don't move right. Because we've seen it multiple times in real life, so we know the difference. That's what people don't realize. Maybe people are just so fixated on computers and phones they don't realize that that shit is not how it looks in real life. It takes people out of the movie and people just accept it. People just go, yeah, yeah, it looks fake. Oh, yeah, yeah, but it's pretty decent CGI, but you notice it's CGI. That's the point. The whole point is you're not supposed to notice it's CGI. That's the whole damn point. I mean, it's especially in particular if it's supposed to be something like in the real world, smoke, fire, all that stuff. If it's something absolutely of fantasy like a T-1000, liquid metal, maybe you could, yeah, I could see that point. But like this whole sequence here, we have a rig where there's a helicopter. And this, look how close it is to the ground. Like, look how close that helicopter is. It barely missed that bridge. And you think about what happened with Twilight Zone the movie. And how fucking dangerous that shit is with helicopters. And here, again, you're seeing this helicopter is like so close to the ground, barely passing through cars. And that bit there, I mean, that was like this rig. I don't know how it was done. Models, I don't know. Like, it looked like a helicopter rammed into a fucking truck. That's what it looks like. This guy gonna say hello to you. There you go. He said, "Get the fuck out of my way." What do you think? Am I hurt? What do you think? How lucky is though that he was in liquid nitrogen, liquid nitrogen truck. Like how often do you see that a liquid nitrogen truck? So how lucky is it that the T-1000, the one vehicle it got was a liquid nitrogen truck? Works for, I mean, it's fun for the scene, but it's like, thank God he got a liquid nitrogen truck for what happens later. Yeah, because you have a slow ass fucking vehicle, wannabe pickup. Piece of shit, piece of shit pickup truck. Again, just all the elements, just the actresses being done so well in a technical, doing it all for real in camera. Was James Cameron seemed like that's what he was for the longest time. Like he would use CGI when he needed to, the pseudopod in the abyss, the T-1000 here, but everything else he would do practical. But now it's just Avatar, like it's just complete CGI worlds, and want to have the best CG, the best, and just that doesn't interest me. I'm sorry, it doesn't interest me, it doesn't intrigue me. These are the type of films I miss him doing. I miss him doing these type of movies. R-rated, balls to the wall, escapism, entertainment of action. And that's what, hey, that's not what he's interested in? Fine, then I'm not interested in your movies anymore. It's like Peter Jackson. I'm more interested in his horror movies. Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles. I mean, that's kind of a horror movie. It's a comedy, to be fair, but there's some moments it's like a horror movie. But Dead Alive, The Frighteners, I'm more interested in that. Okay, you want to go on with Lord of the Rings and King Kong and Hobbits, fine. Be my guest. They're popular. Doesn't mean that's my cup of tea and I give a shit about that. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm not an Avatar fan. It's not my kind of movies. It's not my kind of films. It's not my kind of entertainment. It's not my kind of spectacle. It's just not. This, watch it again. It is a damn good movie. And like this whole bit with the really making this semi slide, and that massive wide shot is showing just the whole environment of this factory. Damn, Arnold turned to Sonic the Hedgehog for a minute with the roll. He did a barrel roll. Yeah, that liquid nitrogen's having a bit of fun here. That's right, everybody, get the fuck out of there and take Homer Simpson with you. It's also interesting because Arnold says the big line here, hasta la vista, baby, and you think, okay, that's the end of it, but not quite. Usually, okay, he's the big one-liner to take care of the bad guy, and then the movie's over, but nah. Just an inconvenience for the T-1000, at least for a bit. And this look at Robert Patrick's, like his mouth is like this old face, like, oh. I wonder would have been better if he didn't shoot the thing. Hasta la vista, baby. I don't know. I just wonder if it actually would have been better. I don't know if he maybe picked up the thing and, well, maybe probably would have damaged his bits as well, but. And again, how unlucky is that they're. Well, unlucky because this fire, it's going to melt the thing. And then lucky because it's the one thing that the T-1000 will be fully destroyed in. Sort of mercury. That's another thing. Once you've had this liquid metal, like, what could be a more intimidating villain? So you have the TX, I don't know. It just didn't seem that unique, special. Maybe the idea that it controlled vehicles, but it did that for that one scene, which is the best, perhaps the only good scene in the movie. There's Genesis was supposed to be the nanotechnology, but I don't know. Didn't really seem like a lesser imitation of the T-1000. Whatever the fuck that was in Dark Fate, where I guess it could make two of itself or whatever the hell. Yeah, just not for me. They couldn't really get much better or cooler than the T-1000 stuff. But yeah, I mean, Arnold, after this, in a weird way, like with this film, he was the top of the mountain, king of the world, as this fight happens. I do like the bit that like he's facing the wall and he's able to just, I don't know how to put it. Like he's going to the wall here and he's just like, okay, yeah, right here, boom. I don't need to turn around. I just do this. Makes for a very inventive fight. But I was saying with Arnold, if you think about this, he was the king of the world. He was the top of the hill. As one would say, when you're at the top, there's only one direction to go, and it's down. So if there's only one direction to go and it's down, look what happened afterward. Last Action Hero, I enjoy the film, but it becomes a big bomb and people make fun of it. Jurassic Park swallowed it up as well, but it becomes a joke where people pick on it and oh my god, it's such a disaster. Again, I think Last Action Hero was fun. I never thought it was as bad as people make it out to be. I think it's underrated. But it was a big bomb. And then you had True Lies, which was a hit. But at the same time, like later on, oh, James Cameron, he wish he didn't make it because terrorism isn't funny. I'm like, that wasn't the point of it. The point wasn't to say terrorism is funny. Like that's like getting mad at a James Bond film. That's what it was. Arnold's version of James Bond. Give me a break. And then not even on Blu-ray, so it's harder for the home media market for people to find the film, rediscover the film, discover it for the first time. That's a great looking shot too. Some nice Stan Winston effects mixed in with the CGI. But I was saying after this, Arnold had what? He had Eraser, which I liked. Maybe made a bit of money, but wasn't like I liked Eraser a lot, but no one really talks about the film. The film's not remembered, finally remembered, all sorts of stuff. And then what? Batman and Robin was a disaster. I liked Collateral Damage, but that didn't do well. Sixth Day didn't do well. End of Days bombed, although I really enjoy the film. Jingle All the Way bombed, although again I enjoy the film. So all these films started bombing. Terminator 3 probably made a little bit of money, but it's probably not as much as they wanted and all this other stuff. Now that scene doesn't really make sense if you think about it, because he's saying call John. Why would he need to do that? He could have just killed her, become Linda Hamilton, and then call for John himself. So yeah, when you watch that scene, it doesn't really make any damn sense. It's just we put Sarah Connor in jeopardy, and there's the Terminator saving her. But again, why would the T-1000 not just kill her and then just pretend to be Sarah Connor and call for John? Like, why is he saying, call for John? Call for John now. I'm like, you could use her voice and call for John. You could use her voice and pretend to be John. You did it with Jeanette Goldstein and earlier in the film. So what's stopping you from doing it? Hell, you do it later on here, where you pretend to be Sarah Connor. And the real one's like, get away. So, again, I don't know why he's got her, and he's, tell me where he is. Like, call John now. I'm like, no. Would have just killed her, pretend to be Sarah Connor, and go hunt down John. It's just, again, we have to lollygag around so that the Terminator can go save her. So, again, it doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. And there's the Terminator getting fucked up. Can you imagine that was the end of Arnold's Terminator? And then, it was just up to Sarah Connor and Edward Furlong. In a movie today, I could see that happening. I mean, just look at Dark Fate and stuff, so. But yeah, Arnold just, like I said, other than maybe True Lies and Eraser, his films started bombing. His films were not becoming hits. People didn't like those films. I disagree. I think a lot of those films, like End of Days and Collateral Damage, are good. Change of tastes of the times. People more interested in spectacles after Jurassic Park, like Independence Day, like Twister, The Matrix, later on Lord of the Rings. The action heroes of old, we don't want to see them anymore, or we're tired of them, or we've grown out of them, or the kids have grown out to see other pieces of media or other actors or other, again, pieces of spectacle. And then people would say the quality went down. Again, I enjoy them, but a lot of people don't like End of Days. A lot of people don't like Collateral Damage. A lot of people don't like those movies, so to the public, they just felt the movies got worse. I mean, you may not agree, but that's how the public felt. Now, how did John know that that was the real Sarah Connor with the shot? I guess because she had a shot. Well, he could have taken the shotgun. But this is a great moment. I like the music. I like Sarah Connor during her badass moment. Love the way it's edited, and the music too. The rising of the music with each pump of the shotgun. And that's the thing. If she had one or two more, he would have fallen through the fucking into the fucking lava pit below. But did get him in the right position for Arnold to shoot his ass. There you go. I love the design of just that explosive mangled version of the T-1000. Such a cool, neat design. There you go. And this interesting way they do where it like devolves to all the people it tried to mimic. I think like maybe Jeanette Goldstein and the security guard, and yeah, there's Jeanette Goldstein. There's the one security guard guy, the cop, yeah. Probably that right there, where showing the multiple heads, is probably the weakest CGI in the movie. I would say that's the weakest CGI in the movie, but I could let it go. But I do like the way it kind of, the face just drifts away. And there you go. I don't know if a Terminator would say, I need a vacation. What was it, Bruce Willis? I'm on vacation, Die Hard 5. But it is what it is. And the chip. Now, granted, the Terminator didn't really have to destroy itself because, if you think about it, if they all went into hiding, then, like, if they all went into hiding, which they probably would anyway, just in case they didn't succeed, the Terminator would just been with them and out in the woods in the middle of fucking nowhere, and just also maybe in case they try to send any more Terminators, like when he's a teen or an adult. See, Arnold, if you didn't destroy yourself, if you're around, you would have saved John Connor and Terminator Darth Fate. You made the wrong decision. You fucked up, Arnold. Your other Arnold went and killed Shawn John. Killed John Connor and shot him in the fucking face. His CGI face. Because he was wrong. He was wrong because it didn't stop Judgment Day. He was wrong because his sacrifice meant nothing. He was wrong because if he was around, he could have still protected John Connor. His fucking job failed because Shawn... I keep saying Shawn. John Connor got shot in the fucking face and Darth Fate. And for some reason, Linda Hamilton read that script and said, yes, I will sign on to it. No, it's more like, how much money you're paying me? You give me what paycheck? Okay. I guess I'll do it. This is a nice moment of the handshake. Like, if his sacrifice meant anything in the long run, then you can understand why he does this. But the fact that it means nothing, again, if you stayed alive, just don't get caught. John Connor would not have been shot in the face. Put some makeup on your face or something to that nature. Or, I mean, I don't know if if the skin grows back or anything. Like, you get a cut and it heals. I don't know if it eventually does that or not. But whatever. I just, with the way he looks, it's not like to go to the grocery store or something. But, John Connor don't get shot in the face. Don't do it. He don't get shot in the face. In the CGI face in Dark Fate. But for the movie, it's a nice emotional moment. And I get the stories about a machine is able to learn about self-sacrifice to do what most humans wouldn't do, all that stuff. Was the father figure that John Connor needed. If a machine can learn that, maybe somehow humans could learn better. And I mean, this narration, Sally is pointless now. Faced for the first time with a sense of hope. If a machine, a Terminator, can learn the value of human life, maybe we can too. Good notion, but sadly, it's like, no, instead he's going to come back, depending which timeline. Either he comes back for Nick Stahl and says, you said no fate? Bullshit. There is fate, and there's no stopping it. You just prolong the inevitable. Here you go, have sex with this lady, and you're going to stay in this cave. Or John Connor gets shot in the fucking face. But yeah, that's Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the theatrical version. Oh yeah, that was Dean Norris as a SWAT team leader. Dean Norris, who would later be in quite a few stuff. Breaking Bad TV show, for example. And overall, still a very solid film. Very good movie. I mean, what more can be said about Terminator 2 that has been said multiple times? They don't make them like they used to. And like I said, this should have been the last Terminator film. I don't mind Salvation for what it is. But would I be fine with it not existing? Yeah. This was not needed. 3 I don't like. Genesis and Dark Fate are travesties. I think Dark Fate is the worst one of the group. Yeah, this just... Sometimes you need to know when to quit. Tell that to Indiana Jones 5, which is bombing right now, and... Was it Insidious 5 and was it Sound of Freedom or being at the box office? And maybe stop when you're ahead. Food for thought. But anyway, this is still a damn good film. When James Cameron was worth a shit. Because he was a guy producing Dark Fate. And oh, it's such a great movie. This is yeah, whatever, dude. Just keep out with your 18 Avatar sequels. Give people The Abyss and True Lies on Blu-ray, Aliens on 4K, and just leave us alone. How about that? Jimmy Tammy. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.